Thank you very much for inviting me to be part of this programme this morning. Fourth Action is not a research-based project. It's a women's organisation and programme on the ground in rural North Northumberland. But we do take quite a campaigning style. So some of what we have done could, I hope, contribute to a sort of action research approach to the area around women, rural women and their issues. So bear with me while I can just get to moving on. Okay, our name's Fourth Action is actually a hangover from 1996, where there was a European programme called the Fourth Action Programme on Gender Equality, and that moved on to the Fifth Action Programme. So I know, and the people who work for us know what Fourth Action stands for, which is gender equality, but nobody else does. So we're in the process of moving towards using the title Women's Workshop. And this is just a clip from our website, which shows you that we're trying to operate around a programme for women, a campaigning approach around gender equality, and a community space. And all of this is taking place based in Amble, which is a rural coastal community in Northumberland. I started out with saying that what we do is holistic, partly because, as Jackie was saying, it's quite difficult. Everything's interconnected to be coherent and linear in sharing some of this. So bear with me. But we have, at the moment, probably around 40 women who are getting quite intensive support. And so that includes one-to-one support. It includes small group and larger group activity. And it's using all kinds of creative ways of both involving women in having a say in developing skills and getting greater confidence. And some of the challenges that it refers to under social inclusion are very practical. So they absolutely do include transport. Okay, I can't read my own screen because of the box. So is this box of other people in the way? I'll just get rid of that. Okay, so these are some of the key issues that we're finding that women are facing. One's around the nature of our local economy, which is seasonal, casual, low status, low pay, and women find themselves with often what they call portfolio careers, which are having 3 jobs basically, all of them bad, and not being able to progress. The scarcity of amenities and services. I live 5 kilometres from a bus stop. There are massive transport issues and broadband issues, and the access to things that might be more available in slightly more urban areas, just like training courses or childcare. All of those are challenged by the sparsity of the sparsity of the population. It's also, as Jackie said, an ageing population. So the cumulative effect of all that makes many opportunities that are there unaffordable, unreachable, and it's a very starkly divided kind of community with lots of women and families in poverty. The reason I asked the question earlier about the number of single households is because there is a quite high preponderance of single women's households and single parent women's households in this rural area. And for many of those women, they've moved specifically to a rural place because they want to be in that kind of place that they feel will promote their well-being, their mental health and so on. But they generally come to that situation without very many resources to back them up. Of our users, I would say no more than 30% drive. The monocultural landscape with sexism built in, both in terms of private life, public life, we can kind of evidence that partly through what's been happening in recent months and the number of women who found themselves in coercive situations in their households. We particularly concentrate on women with additional characteristics or challenges rather than promoting what we do to all women on an equal basis. We obviously do that in terms of publicity, but behind the scenes, we are going out of our way to identify and support women who are facing a whole range of extra issues, including discrimination, and that is evidenced by the level of hate crime has gone up by 400% in the Northumbria police area since 2018. But I hope this is going to work, but we've just been doing a project called Rural Women's Voices since COVID, because we've got to think of every possible way we can to engage with women who are terrified of digital stuff or don't have access to IT equipment or broadband or all of the barriers that there are around that. So we decided to create a quick project where we trained people in how to make a little video on your own phone and to prioritise what they think their issues were. These two, My Working Life by Suzanne. Suzanne works on Holy Island. So there's a causeway, there's all sorts of time problems with that, timing problems with that. She doesn't drive, she's autistic and was diagnosed as autistic as an adult, but has absolutely no input in terms of that in her life. And Pauntip is of Thai origin, lives in Alnwick, and has struggled. She lost her job in care and has struggled with her spoken and written English to try and get back into the care workforce, which she loves. So I'm going to ask Felipe if you can help me by switching the screen share and showing these videos from that end. Do you think that's going to happen?
Yeah, okay, I'm going to stop your share and then we'll resume it. Just a second.
I'll stop sharing. Shall I just stop sharing for a minute?
Yeah, I can do that. Okay, now I'll share the ones here. Is it showing now?
Yeah.
If I have the audio, just a second.
I live in Embleton, so it's about 40 minutes, 45 minutes, depending on traffic. Normally get a lift, occasionally might have to get a bus. There's about a couple of buses a day. Driving scares me. Obviously when I'm getting tested, I'm all over the place. My nerves get to me. I work in finance slash in the sales room, shop floor. Sometimes it be really short days and sometimes it'll be long days. All depends obviously on the tides. So if the tide's in, obviously I won't be able to get across the causeway because it's covered in water, and then if the tide's out then you can get across the causeway. Some weeks are kind of can be quite standard, and then some weeks are all over the place. Normally a taxi or I left off somebody. Mum and dad are normally quite good. Or
that's a month of that day. Potentially I'll be able to see my boyfriend. It obviously depends on his rota though.
Maybe eventually move, so then I would have one less. Bit of the jigsaw to fit in.
You're muted.
Yeah. Would you like to go? So that's Suzanne. But would you like to go straight on to Pauntip and then I can continue from there?
Yes, I'm just pasting the links if anyone wants to go.
Okay.
And let's go to the other one now. Was the sound okay? Could you hear what was on the video?
It's not brilliant anyway on these videos.
Okay.
When I came to NE, it's very, very difficult for me, and everything is very hard. I feel that they don't like me because then I am Thai person, you know. I went to the college in Washington, in Bly, from NE to Melbourne, from Melbourne to Bly. I've been learning there about 3 or 4 months because the school is, no other student. I try to learn English language online,
Yeah,
about the teacher.
Yep.
They are on teaching the people online. Yeah.
Have you found that possible?
I think it's really hard.
It's an extra challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in Thai temple in Leeds. I need to pray for good luck. I pray, please, Buddha help me to get a new job. And if I am a carer, I need to be a carer, and I need to get a job very quickly. Thank you.
Okay, is that back?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I think those women speak for themselves very well in terms of seeing the whole context that people have to deal with and transport is part of that. Just trying to move on to the next page and it's not moving. That's it. As I've said, we've been quite active in campaigning about some issues, and one way we do that is being part of the Women First Partnership, which has got partners from around the northeast, and we're the rural lead in that. And in that context, we produced a rural women's case study, which I haven't tried to go through, but this is a little bit more research orientated, and it's based around CDOR, which I'm sure everybody will have heard of, the Commission for Elimination of Discrimination Against Women and Girls. And one of their priorities is supporting rural women around the world, and the UK government is bound to address that. And so our group has used that CDOR route to have a say, and we've created a case study about rural women in the northeast to contribute to that. The other side of Women First is that we've worked together to try and bring in more funding for bigger projects that none of us could manage on our own, and to help us across that partnership to reach women who are experiencing multiple discriminations and disadvantage. And in that workshop, again, in that partnership, we are again the rural partner. So some of the things that we've done locally, because one of the starting points for women is that their mental health, their confidence, their social exclusion has led them to find it very difficult to be in groups and to get peer support. So we put a lot of emphasis on trying to support women from their own starting point and have a lot of one-to-one support going on. These are some of the migrant women from Eastern Europe who have taken part in some of our activities. That's called a wild woman doll. You kind of pick a load of stuff and make something that represents how you feel on that day. And you can see that people don't necessarily feel that together. This is another group this is a specialist group, which is young women who have learning differences, who again find socialising even with each other particularly difficult. We had a young women's project, had a young women's day where it was called Raise an Eyebrow, hence the eyebrows, and again, trying to concentrate on young women with learning differences who find themselves particularly excluded in terms of transport and work. And a programme of things going on, creative writing, visits, and so on. One of our main areas is trying to look at alternative routes for women into careers that help them to escape from low pay, low status work. And we had money from British Science Week to do women in electrics, astronomy, geology. Did a walk, and in this walk, which left Amble by minibus last year, those women who all live within 5 miles or 10 miles of this place that we walked had never been there. And tourists flock there, but they haven't been. So there's a sort of exclusion for local women in our experience. That's some of them doing that day. This is our women's workshop. This is a self-build project that we put together from 2006 till now, entirely built by women, and we can use it as a sort of proactive way of taking out that message. You can do these things. We've also in the having a say category. We took part in Pride. In COVID, we probably about half of the women who we support went to ground, for a whole range of reasons, these sorts of reasons. We decided to do a social media April. We're posting something every day while we were trying to get our act together to make ourselves more accessible. And we had to meet on park benches. I have met up on a park bench to sign people up to universal credit and food banks because they weren't in the loop. We're lucky to be in a partnership with Young Women's Trust, who gives hardship grants for young women. And we've had a lot of funding, actually, more than usual, all very short term, all asset related to try and up our equipment. I think this is the final area, support for self-employment and enterprise. We have been a partner with WIRE for a few years back. One of the things we found about using the networking basis for supporting women in enterprise is that it works very well for those who are sort of semi or established. It works less well for women who are thinking about it and trying to start up. Particularly, and there is an issue about affluence, as Hannah said, and who feels comfortable in different networks. And we have that within our own project too. We have an ecotourism type collective idea where women sign up to this thing called Heritage and try and promote local women's economy to tourists, since they're our main customer. We go to market stalls, that's one in Amble and one in Alnwick. Some of the things that the women have made. And our other collective is called the Women's Workshop Cleaning Collective. And this looks as though we're actually colluding with women being in low pay. But what we're trying to do is to create our own collective with a shared level of pay. That's £10 minimum. Nobody creaming off a percentage to run an agency, and for women to get experience of cleaning. And we're trying to extend this into offering kind of holistic, low-key care as well for lots and lots of local women who have all sorts of differences and challenges, but don't have a care package, but might be on PIP, personal independence payment. And by bringing those women together with these women, we can potentially create some work. That's some of our many funders, which shows you how complicated it can be to hold all of this together. And that's our website and some of the women who are really active. That's me.